We know you have a lot on your holiday to-do list. And at the UPS Store, we're here to help. With our pack and ship guarantee, your gifts will arrive intact or you'll be reimbursed. Got holiday cards to print? We're also the premier printing store. We've got everything you need for every way you holiday. Visit the upsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by two veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Misfit Nation Show. Thank you for taking some of your time on your God-given day off on Sunday to hang out with us at night after dinner and learn more about other people or other organizations. Tonight we have a really amazing organization that came out of a horrific, I would say, deployment for one unit out of Ohio, the Eyes of Freedom. Last year at the Marine Corps Marathon, I was walking down I guess you call it in the expo, and there's all the veteran service organizations. And right at the end, there was a statue basically of someone kneeling with a bunch of dogs all around them. And I met Miss Kelly Jones-Swenson there. She's the executive director of Eyes of Freedom. And she told me about the organization and why they came about. And I remembered that unit when they were in Iraq, and all the men they lost. I believe lost 23 or 25 men during their tour, and many mothers injured. And that's from a basically Marine Corps reserve unit out of Ohio. So that's a community that lost a lot of young men to the war effort at that time. So a lot of families were hurt at that point. Kelly, unfortunately, is not able to make it tonight because she's traveling, but she gave us Sean Flaherty to come hang out with us and tell us more about the Eyes of Freedom and make sure all the mistakes I just made in the intro are covered up. So without further ado, let's welcome Sean to the show.
Hey, welcome. What an
Sean.
intro. This is amazing. Thanks for having us on.
It's awesome to have you. Like I just said, a meeting when I met you at the expo, it was amazing to see her passion for the organization, as well as all the stuff that you guys had there. There was a book about Lima Company as well. The display was amazing. That was the eye catcher. The display was the eye catcher. And then I walked around the table to talk to her. So it I guess, was told to get me in there to vacuum in and then talk to her. So it was awesome.
That's great. I wish I could have attended that event, but I've attended 99% of the other ones. So I'm sure I'll get back there when we get there. It'll be a priority for me.
I'm sure being an organization related to them going to be there every year. So I'm sure they'll have you back whenever you guys want to go back.
Absolutely.
Basically, that's what you guys are all about. So, Sean, if you know, tell us a little about you and then a little more about the Eyes of Freedom.
Sure. So I did not serve in the military. Growing up, my father's a Vietnam vet, and he didn't really talk much about his experience in Vietnam. He kept it very close. So that was like actually my first kind of entry into understanding what post-traumatic stress is. I thought every father growing up was just like my father, but that wasn't the case. And as life takes you around and you meet so many different people, I had a very good friend that was killed. He was part of Lima Company. He was killed on August 3rd, 2005. with 10 of his other Marines, and on the largest IED explosion that was recorded at the time. And when that news hit Central Ohio, obviously our community was just devastated by this. And I knew I needed to step up and do something. And my first reaction was, well, I'm going to go into the Marines. But then I realized, and a recruiter told me I was too old back then, at least for the Marines. I could have gone to another thing or signed an age waiver or something like that. However, I know I wouldn't be able to do what I do now with the Eyes of Freedom. But long story short, I documented the entire process of Anita Miller, the artist that created the portraits and Silent Battle. I recorded video, took pictures for about 2.5 years while she was doing that. And now I travel with it full time. And we not only pay tribute to the fallen of Lima Company with this exhibit, we also pay tribute to anybody that's ever served in the past, is serving right now, or even young folks that are about to go in. This is for them.
So where was Lima Company's headquarters at in Ohio?
The battalion headquarters are actually located in Cleveland and Brook Park, but this particular unit from Columbus is based just southeast of Columbus at Rickenbacker Air Base. And, you don't hear of a lot of reservists being killed on that many. There was 22 Marines, 1 Navy corpsman, and then the Brook Park unit lost many as well. So there was a total of 49 that were killed in the battalion and unit.
Wow, that's insane for such a small community, basically, to lose that many young men. Young warriors on one deployment. In 2003 to 2004, I was with 2-4 Marines. They were attached to our brigade, so I got to fight with them a lot. So I learned a lot about the Marine Corps. And then when I came home, my platoon was sponsored by a man out of the greater Cincinnati area, Rick Hart. And I went to his house in 2005 while the Lima was deployed and all this stuff was happening. And that's when I first started hearing stories about them. And because I think they were attached to the 23rd MU at the time. So I was able to learn a lot more about them there. And then when I met Kelly at the expo, it all flashed back to me like a tornado almost. Crazy.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
So
it's.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say it's just everywhere we go, people are just kind of floored by what we bring them, because there isn't really any textbook for what we do. We kind of write it as we go. And saying no is not one of our strong suits. So we'll go anywhere just to spread that message.
Well, man, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing. If you don't say no, sometimes it's gonna bite you. But I know you guys have traveled throughout the country with the memorial, and in the capital of the Ohio State Capitol, there you guys actually had the portraits of all the men in there actually on display. Not sure if they're still there, or they were just there for a time.
That was our very first event. We've done 380 as of last night now. And the exhibit itself is actually built for the Ohio State House Rotunda building. When you see it there in its octagon formation, it actually kind of feels like part of the building. But the good thing is all of this is on wheels. So when we go to places that don't have the space to, put it in an octagon, we can be flexible and put it in different configurations and stuff like that. But the State House is where this all started. We've been back probably 5 times, and we have plans to go back next year for the 20th anniversary of Lima Company's deployment.
A somber anniversary at that as well, because of all the heartache and pain. Do a lot of the families get involved with you guys as you travel, or is some of them still standoffish?
No, they love to be around it, and many of those moms and dads are retired now. And they sometimes go on the road with us. Just a couple years ago, we brought the mother of Aaron Reed out on the road with us, and we're going to bring some more this year, because if you can imagine, you're a viewer of the exhibit and you're paying a tribute to maybe 1 or 2 of the Marines, and then a family member comes over and says, "Hey, thank you for paying tribute to my son." That changes the experience for you as well, and you'll probably never forget that Marine in the family because of that. So a lot of them love to share funny stories. It's not all down and all that stuff, but they get a lot out of it. They were very helpful with Anita Miller too at the painting process by stretching the canvas around, the stretcher bars, and being very hands-on.
Is Anita still heavily involved with the organization too, or did she kind of step away after the art portion of it?
Well, she doesn't travel with us very often. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year we get her out on the road. She's on the board of directors, and she knows every step of what we're doing. And every once in a while, we'll convince her to go on the road with us and make it a even grander experience. But she's very humble, and so many people just come up to us daily, to Kelly and I, and say, "Oh my gosh, we would love to meet Anita Miller, and love to hear from her." And when she does come to our events and speaks, it's a great experience. She does enhance the experience greatly.
Looking at some of the portraits, they're very detailed. They're very well done, and I think she put a lot of time, effort, and respect into each portrait she painted. And I think that's a testimony to your organization as well, to have that kind of professionalism going involved, then keeping their memories alive.
Yeah, I mean, she honestly, I mean, the day I met her, she hadn't even started painting yet, and just hearing her voice, and this is 2006, late 2006 when I met her. And I remember telling her, I said, this is going to be bigger than you imagine. And I didn't mean famous big. I meant how it was just going to reach out to people. And quite honestly, I don't believe that, other than the Marines that came back, and the family members, I don't think she really understood how this was going to kind of lay out around the country. And once we started traveling and stuff like that, it just kind of has its own legs, and does its own thing. But it's bigger than any of us could have ever imagined. She's so
Definitely is.
humble. She's so humble. She doesn't, she's not Anita Miller, the creator of the Eyes of Freedom. She's Anita Miller that happened to have this vision and kind of answered the call to do it. That's how kind of she looks at it.
Did she have any ties to the military before this, or this was just out of just heartfelt gratitude to them and what they served?
I think her grandfather flew gliders in World War II, but she didn't. I mean, she didn't have any ties to the Marines, any ties to the families at the very beginning. She literally was woken up one morning after reading the newspaper, specifically the August 3rd deaths, when that, in the newspaper, the Columbus Dispatch, there was a big row of everyone, a face of everyone that was killed. And she knew behind each one of those faces was a family that was just devastated. So she came at this from the perspective of wanting to help mom and dad and the brothers and sisters. And then it just, once she started that process, it just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew. And especially when we started traveling outside the state of Ohio, where no one really knows Lima Company's story as well as we do here, it just became even more powerful.
Yeah, because I could imagine when you lose that many young men in such a small community, it's got to be devastating for the whole community. It's not just the Marine Corps lost 22 Marines, one corpsman. It's Ohio lost 23 of their young men at that point. And that's a hard punch to take for anybody. And those who have not been overseas to war, you expect to lose one or two in a unit, maybe, or maybe three. But when you lose 23 in a company, that's a lot of dudes.
Yeah, and Lima Company, they had the nickname Lucky Lima for many years because they were just kicking major butt and everything was going great. But when the bad stuff happened, it happened on such a grand scale. I mean, the majority of those men that were killed in two separate roadside bomb blasts. One on May 11th, there were 6 killed, and on August 3rd, there were a total of 11 Lima Company Marines and 3 in another. They were drivers from another unit. And then there was a couple of enemy gunfire fatalities as well. But when like you said, when that news hit Central Ohio, I mean, this community was just devastated. And when Lima Company, the surviving members of Lima Company came home, you should have seen the welcome that they got in this city. It was unbelievable. Miles and miles and miles of people lined the roads for those Marines to welcome them home. And they needed that. They really did.
I bet 100% they needed it, because I'm sure they're down on themselves. Why not? Why wasn't it me? Why was it them? What I could have done something different to keep them alive, or any other reason why they can be down on themselves. But to have the community support when you come home, that helps exponentially. Our brothers that came home from Vietnam did not have that at all, obviously, but their problems from Vietnam, the fight that they had coming home, was basically a lesson for our country. And things like this is, because it's a community-based unit, it's harder to not recognize that these young men are coming home with heavy hearts, heavy heads, and need that help.
Absolutely. And that's actually the reason which led to the chapter 2 to this story, which is the sculpture that you mentioned. And we call it Silent Battle. for several years of touring, we would see these struggling veterans come in, and my father being one of those as well. And when they come in, they just use the portraits and just unload and share these stories they've never shared, and they get a lot of that poison out of them. And when they leave, you can see a change in them. You can see them walking perhaps a little, taller, or and they're kind of smiling, they're cracking jokes, so we know it works. Well, we met a struggling veteran from the first Gulf War that came to see us in Minnesota, and he was just like some of those other veterans. He just unloaded and got all this out, but his story, you could tell, was very different. Brian Zimmerman, and is his name. And I called Anita that night and said, "Hey, we think we found chapter 2 to your story." And it took her a little while to get the bravery to call him, but once she did, we knew that his story was going to take us to the next step, and that's exactly what happened. He gave Anita the imagery for Silent Battle. She had a completely different design at one point, but that was an image he couldn't get out of his mind for many, many years. And he didn't want it to be his face on that sculpture, but everything else is kind of him. And unfortunately, we did lose Brian in 21. He lost his Silent Battle, but his mission was to get that discussion started about post-traumatic stress and suicide, and he was successful with that because we were installing those sculptures permanently in places around the country, including his hometown of Moore, Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yes, as you heard in our introduction, that's one of our big tenets on this show: get people out of that darkness and be there for them as much as you can. If you talk to your friends, you can tell when they're up and down. But if you don't, if you lose a leg, sometimes we lose good guys like Brian there, and Brian Zimmerman. We also say their name to keep their memory alive. So
yes,
Brian Zimmerman, who's the focus for chapter 2 of you guys, and that's keeping his memory alive as well. And now the Misfit Nation will keep his name on as well.
Thank you. That means a lot, because I was very close with Brian, and for 6+ years, he would call me sometimes twice a week, and I would just listen. And
Wow.
I think that's an important thing, is to listen. And I didn't serve in any war. I can't relate on the pain that these folks come back with, and he was very transparent in sharing that pain with me. And I learned more about the mind and the heart of a struggling veteran through him than even my own father. It made me understand my own father a lot better as well. So, we were just in New Mexico last week, and there was a Marine that really needed this. And we think it changed his life for good, in a great way.
And I'm looking at the image of the sculpture right now on my second screen here, and it just brought back the chills I got at the marathon. I was looking at it, seeing the dog tags and I think some coins are on there as well as you display it. But it's an amazing display. See if I can get it to share here without losing either one of us. But
and while you're talking, there's a beautiful documentary that's on YouTube. It's called The Promise. That I'll try to put the link in the chat here. That it followed Brian and Anita for 2 years in while she was creating that. Now, it was released when it was released before Brian lost his Silent Battle, but it is a very positive story. And if I can find it, I will share it.
So those of you watching, I have the image up right now of the sculpture. It's an amazing sculpture, and in the background you can see the ports as well, along with the American flag. And in the boots display, where you usually have the bayonet and weapon, you have a pseudo bayonet weapon, but it has a LED candle on each one of them, so it keeps their light alive. So you can check out Eyes of Freedom, eyesofreedom.org. You'll see this on your own screens, and you'll get a little more appreciation of it.
Okay, I just shared the link for the documentary about the promises, about the sculpture as well.
Okay,
there we go.
That sculpture is amazing, as you've seen. So please check it out. Check out eyesofreedom.org. When the website is working.
Yeah, and we want it to. It's important for me to share that we want everybody to put their hands on it. It's kind of like a circuit. The artist wants it to be a circuit. charge it with good energy. Those that need it can touch it and receive it. And I have stopped asking questions about how it works. I just know it works.
Sometimes you don't need to know all the answers to those things.
Yeah,
And it's better just
yes, we
mystical
experienced
stuff
many
work.
things. Exactly. So
Are there any stories that you guys have learned from some of the brothers and sisters, brothers mostly, I guess, in Iowa at that time, that were with them and were able to come home and tell the stories of the battles and those days that were the darkest for them?
yeah, I mean, a lot of the Marines that came home, a lot of them still don't want to talk about that. But the ones that do share realize that when they share their stories, it's helping them get a lot of stuff out. And just with my friend Sergeant Justin Hoffman, I hear funny stories because he had a kind of dark sense of humor. Actually, he had a very dark sense of humor, and that carried on over there. And they would tell me, he would when we had some downtime, he'd pull this prank on this Marine, and that Marine would get all angry and stuff like that. I'm just like he was back here at home, and there was interestingly enough, like when we were in New Mexico, the Marine that we were there for in the portraits, Jonathan Grant, I didn't know a whole lot about. Even through the whole painting process, he was the last one to be painted because we only had 2 photos of him to base his face on. Anita did. But I'm telling you, after spending a week in New Mexico with his family, I feel like I know him just as well as I knew my friend Justin. So we get to experience how it is with these family members, and some of them I'm very close with all the moms and dads of these men. And sometimes I'll go to their house where they grew up, and they'll show me their bedroom. And sometimes they don't even change the stuff in their bedroom; they leave it as is. So there's a lot of learning to be had. You kind of absorb it, kind of like a sponge with each moment.
Oh, I've seen other people do the same thing, not change anything in hopes that that memory will never go away. You don't change anything in their room or wherever their storage place was in the house. If they left maybe just a closet of stuff there or whatever, everything stayed the same. And it brings hope or I guess relief to the family as well to see their stuff still hanging there or maybe some of their awards and stuff like that. Each person is different, so you don't know what they're going through. And like you said, a lot of the dudes don't even want to talk about it still, don't want to express any of their feelings. And it could be that it's so suppressed within them that they don't know what to say or they don't want to show any weakness or signs of weakness. But they've been through so much. I think it's almost like you said, almost 20 years now. It's time to breathe and let that story come out and share what Lima Company went.
Yeah, and some of them are writing books. We were just at LSU, Louisiana State University, and there was a Marine, Jason Teed, who just wrote a book called Warriors, and he was doing a book sign. We arranged to have him do his first book signing, and being the Marine, and there's this joke about crayons. He signed my book in crayons, so I have my copy, and I have not read it yet, but Kelly has read her copy. I need to read mine. So just by their stories are graphic, they're very very real. But that they have to get that out. A huge thing I've learned with veterans is if they feel comfortable enough telling you some pretty heavy stuff, just be there and listen to it. It may make you uncomfortable, but they live through that stuff. So the least you can do is kind of be a little uncomfortable yourself to hear that stuff, but it does make a difference.
And that book is available on Amazon, Target. I think everywhere books are sold because Amazon, Target, it's everywhere. So it's probably on Barnes and Noble as well. It's Warriors by
I'm
Jason
sure.
T. It's a pretty cool looking cover, black, the convoy on the top of it. Get your copy of that and read about his story from his time in combat. No, there's another book on Lima Company, isn't there?
Yeah, they called us lucky. I think that was the name of it, and I don't have a copy. Kelly has the copy that, and she'll eventually let me check it out. But yes, that was written by that author was just in Santa Fe with us. Ruben Gallego. He was he came to see us in Santa Fe, and his best friend in the portraits is the same Marine that we were in Santa Fe for, Jonathan Grant. So he came up pay his tribute, and there were some Marines that flew in from Ohio for that Santa Fe event, and they were ready to allow this to work for them. And it's a incredible experience to actually see that work. I mean, it's painful, but probably
Yes.
the worst part of my job is seeing a struggling veteran struggle when they walk in. But the best part of my job is seeing that thing work and how it changes them. It's kind of both ends of the spectrum, but it balances each other out.
And as they tell the story, it's going to break an emotional barrier within. So you see a big emotional release, I like to call it. And depending on how much you know the dude, or you might see him red, whatever, and shake, and then all of a sudden they'll be fine again because now they can breathe. They got it off their chest. They can breathe, and they'll be with us a little longer, and they'll be happy to share that story with everyone now instead of just keeping it all balled up inside them, or just when they drink with their buddies from it.
That's true. This is many veterans and family members have told us that we have a traveling outlet. We provide an outlet, kind of like very similar mission as like the traveling Vietnam walls that go around the country. We've done several events with them, and several veterans that just don't want to go to Washington D.C. can go and see the traveling versions of those walls. And our event or our display is all about traveling, so we'll go pretty much anywhere we're asked. We've done a very wide variety of different types of events, and each one of them, has their challenges, but they also have they show why we're there. There's always one or two things that we witness every single event where we're just like, that is why we were here. And that is incredible motivation to keep going.
Oh, 100%. That I'm sure that gives you guys that blood push, adrenaline to get
Oh
everything up
yeah.
to the next city, next state, or I don't know how many trips you do a month, but as many trips as you possibly can do to keep that motivation for other people, even if I've been associated with the Marines. When they I seen that statue, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. That was the lore to get me in there, and then I heard the story, Kelly. Uh, I think you guys are doing great things for not just Lima Company, just like you just said, all veterans that have to have the opportunity to see you guys or meet you guys when you're on the road.
Thank you. It's the largest thing I've ever been part of in my entire life, and it's not about me. I'm just a small part of the machine to get it from one point to the other. But I'm very fortunate to be part of that machine because I wish everybody had the opportunity to help our veterans on the level that we were able to. And we're hoping that maybe someone comes in there and that motivates them to do the next great thing, whatever that is. And it's all about kind of passing the torch.
Definitely is, and you guys are doing a great job of that. Where can people find you and get in contact with you guys?
Well, we're on all social media outlets, so just look up the Eyes of Freedom. We have a website, eyesoffreedom.org. We're currently kind of working on that for the next day or two. So if you go there and it's showing that it's not running, please check back. But please follow us on all social media, including YouTube and Facebook and all of that. Kelly does a fantastic job keeping up running that. I'm constantly feeding her content, and we just have a lot of fun doing it. We don't want it to be all about just, oh, this is a somber thing. There's a lot of good that comes with this, and we want to share that.
It brings a lot of good. Like we just said, it brightens other people's days when they are able to breathe. When, like you said, they touch it, they feel that energy release, and it's something you can't explain. You stop asking questions how it works, but it works. And as long
It
as it
certainly
keeps
does.
working, that's the best thing right there. As long as that keeps working. So right now, the Facebook address is going across the bottom of the screen: facebook.com Eyes of Freedom, and then their YouTube is youtube.com, and that's going to go across the screen right now. Backslash at Lima Company Memorial. So it's at Lima Company Memorial. And you go there, subscribe to their channel, and you'll get all the content that Sean was just talking about. So I'm sure when you guys go on the road, you make some videos, but upload them so people see what's in there, as well as any other things that you're involved with.
Absolutely. Sharing the story in any way we can. We know it makes a difference, so we're just going to keep doing that until we can't. This has the ability to travel long after I'm gone, so we're just going to keep going.
Outstanding. And right now, I'm going to share the documentary link as well. And I'm going to put that in the comments so it goes on everything forever, basically. Hopefully. it'll paste for me. So that's YouTube, it's watch, and a lot of letters and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish there was an easier way, but that's what I have for the link.
But it's in the comments now, so it'll be on every platform that we're do right now. It's in the comments, and I'll put it into the show notes. I'll add it in there as I edit this, edit the verbiage. I'm not going to edit any of the video. The verbiage, I'll add this in there so people can see the documentary as well. Sean, thank you for stepping up to the plate as the designated hitter tonight, and really telling us all about Eyes of Freedom. It's an amazing organization. Keep up everything y'all are doing. And if y'all ever need anything or want to come on and tell us something amazing that you're up to now, come back on. Just reach out to us. We'll get you back on here.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone that's listening. Yeah, please check us out because we're gonna change a lot of more lives. There's a lot of more people out there, and we can't do that without platforms. So thanks for having us on your platform.
That's what we're here for. We're here to help our brothers and sisters, veterans, first responders, and like whole communities like your guys are helping up there. Thank you for everything you're doing, and have a great night.
Thank you so much. You too.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.